Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning,
Sir,
everyone.
orientation class due to network issues, communication from I'm from Bangladesh, sir. I'm MD Shariful Islam.
Exactly.
Sir, was there a connectivity issue today? Actually, I was trying to log in since
Wait
11
for a
o'clock.
moment. Give me a moment. Let me enter the other people as well. Then. Am I audible to everyone? Yes, you're saying something. No, yeah. Please go ahead.
No, good morning, everyone. No, Nikhil sir, I was saying, is there a technical issue today? Actually, I tried to log in since 11 o'clock, but it was showing that class has not started. So I was wondering what is the issue.
Class is not yet started because we have postponed, for a couple 20 minutes. Tomorrow as well, like, we probably start at the same time. So there is no miss. Nothing started yet.
Okay.
And Sharif, you're saying something as well.
Sir, I'm Sharif, sir. Last I missed the orientation class. Can you hear, sir?
Not able to hear you.
Yes, sir.
We can hear,
Uh,
Sharif,
um,
I can hear.
okay. Wait for a couple of more minutes, then we will probably start. Let's wait for everyone to join in, and then probably I'll walk you through with the basics.
Nikhil sir, till the time the class starts, I have a request to all the participants here. Can we share our number and open a WhatsApp chat group? I don't know if somebody has joined, already done that, but if it is not, then we can start that if it is okay with everyone.
No, I'm actually not sure why I'm not able to get your voice.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's audible. Sir.
Like, there is no group as of now, but yeah, we will create it one if required.
Okay, so I will. Sir, can you hear me? Nikhil sir, can you hear me? Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, you are audible.
Okay, I am sharing my number. Um, so if everyone can share your number, I can create the group.
Just wait for some time, guys. Don't go for the WhatsApp group as of now. We will discuss about it later as well. Just wait for some time, please.
Okay, okay, sure.
Thank you so much. Just wait. We'll start in 5 minutes, guys. Actually, people are still joining in. So it's the first class, so yeah, some challenge. But yeah, we'll start soon.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I believe I can see
Good morning.
this space is in orientation as
Good
well.
morning, sir.
Um, Please, guys, be on mute so that whenever we are discussing or I need your help, I definitely ask you to unmute. Or I mean, you can willingly do that, but just to avoid the background noise. So before I start, again, I want to give you a background that we are going to study in the coming 18 lectures around your 10 units of CIA Part 1. And in this 10 units, basically, the pattern should be that we will go through the concepts related to your practical experts as well. And also, after each complete chapter completion, we will practice some game questions as well during the class itself. So I know everyone, most of you are the working professionals, and it's like based my experience as well in the classes as well that it hardly you get a time to revise. But it would be better if you get some time to revise so that during the when we reached at a stage that we close, we are covering 50%, 60% of syllabus, then you will be in a position to cover up your syllabus in a bit earlier manner and prepare for your final exam rather than wait for other parts. So just want to understand, is everybody of you appear for a part one as of now, or anybody who already appeared or already cleared the part two and part three? Anybody, do we have anyone like this?
Hi, good morning. I'm Krishna Rao here.
Hmm. Hey, Krishna, yes.
Yeah, I had cleared part one in the year 2021-22, and post that
Hmm.
I just couldn't manage to complete the rest of the parts. So as the registration was for 3 years, now I'm going to enroll again, and I have enrolled for part one only in VGLD.
Okay. So part two and part three is still left for you. Okay. I mean, is there anyone who appear, I mean, who cleared the part two and part three prior to part one? I mean, before we start with the lecture? Anyone like this? As you can use a chat group as well so that you people are joining in. No, nothing. Enrolled on the part one. Okay. No worries. Let's start with it. Before we start with the unit one, this class where our focus on today's class is to get a background about your internal audit things, their objectives, their areas, and overall we'll cover each and every aspect in a very high level view, which is more relevant to your subject understanding. Okay. As far as your introduction is concerned, introduction to your internal audit, what do you think internal audit is all about? Any idea? anyone who is working in this domain? Any idea about internal audit?
Yes.
How you define it actually?
Sir, it's about checking the processes of the entire organization, be it at the front office level or the back office level or the operations level, at every level. In fact, I would go on to say that whether the whatever the SOPs are set, the standard operating procedures are set, or the guidelines which are laid out by the organization are being carried out, well within the organization at the ground level. And it's basically an assessment and a check work for ourselves, or ourselves being an organization standpoint. So that's in a nutshell, I would describe how what internal audit is about. It's a cross verification of what we do, by be it by an external party or or in fact not an external party in this case because it's an internal audit. So our own department, which works, or an organization's internal department which works independently, which verifies the work of the other departments, and which just ensure that the guidelines being followed, which has been laid out by the organization's top management.
There, there are few things which needs to be added here. But yeah, that is whatever Vicky has explained to us, guys. It's one part of IA. It's only a part of it where we are looking for the processes. And if I want to give you a historical background, historically, audit is not something which is a subject matter of 20 years right down the line if you are going back. It's a decades of matter, it's a centuries things. I mean, it's 100, 200 years back as well. But with the passage of time, things has been changed. I cannot say that whatever existence in somewhere around 1950s, the economic challenge was different. There were the World War stages. There was some new laws coming up in the modern era, and there were the laws which was there at that time was not that applicable as of now. So what happened is things has been changed from time to time. Let's take a very quick example before we formally go into deep dive into IEA's definitions. 10 years back, if you go only 10 years back, the scope, the expectations from the auditor was different because they want that other people, the government and the regulators are required that, hey, please identify the gaps. Be it external auditor, be it internal auditor, be it forensic auditors, be it operational auditor, be it any auditor, government focuses on different aspects. Regulators, even across geographies. When technology is improved to an AI level right now, because AI is our emerging risk. Nobody has trained that domain. We are new to it. But the expectation immediately has been changed from auditors that, hey, now usage of AI is coming up. The exposures, risk exposures are changing. Since the exposure are changing, there should be a change in the policy that should reflect your emerging risk. And also there should be a proper implementation at the governance levels as in the senior management level. So the better here is we want to describe that everything needs to be updated because basis the updation into the market. The way we are doing audit in 1990s does not mean that we are going to do as of now. Because one and foremost example is technology, right? There was no technology that the usage dependency of technology in 1990s were very bare minimum, I can say. Nowadays it is very huge. Emerging risk, cybersecurity. Have you ever if you are aware, like 6 years back when the COVID time period uh, hits the market, hits the lifestyles of every human being. Have you ever noticed that there was an attempt on of cybersecurity threats? Have you heard about it? Any cybersecurity threat or cybersecurity attack?
No.
No. Anyone else?
Yes, I have heard about it.
Have you ever noticed that during the COVID time period, ransomware, yes, Prakash, yes, ransomware as well. Ransomware is something when you are uh, using it as a blackmailing something that by getting some monetary benefit. Ransomware that is asking for. But
Yeah,
my point here is, if you have noticed that during the COVID time period, because of the lockdown, there was an unprecedented time for everyone, right? No one has seen in 100 years that this can be a disruption to the human life as well as your business. Agree? Have you ever noticed that particularly if you're talking from an Indian perspective, there was a lot of applications which was banned immediately on such a short notice by the government, not in India, in across countries as well. And there they have taken a very drastic social media regulations, and uh, they are restricting usage, they are blocking it, they are, I mean, why they did that suddenly? If they're doing it in the 2020, why they did it? Those actions were not taken in 2029, 19. Have you ever look into the audit in this aspect? What was a thread there? The regulators has seen. Guys, please be participative because it's an interesting one. Topics are really interesting. What was the root cause of it?
Is it can be issues with data privacy and confidentiality, due to which these kinds of steps were taken. Because if people are working from home, then a lot of people can be like attacked using ransomwares or any malicious softwares and phishing attacks, smishing attacks. So those kinds of attacks. And secondly, if the personal data of the people are leaked, then that data could be used for malicious purposes like scamming. And due to a large influx of people who had nothing to do, not to go outside and suddenly depend upon entirely on the technology at that point of time, I think this might have been seen as a emerging risk at that point of time. So they must have taken steps in order to ensure that this kind of emerging risk could be mitigated to some point.
When you're saying that there was some emerging risks because of that, the government and the regulators has taken that action. But have you ever seen that because risks are emerging, you are avoiding it completely by banning that app? Means you're eliminating the root cause. Is it a right step? Or you have to take some certain step that, hey, this is my risk, and how this, if I want to mitigate it, I have to implement some of the checks, some of the restricted accesses. But
Yes.
what is the main root cause for banning that apps or applications from the user? See,
I think TikTok was banned
banning
at
the
that point
app,
of time due to China taking our data.
I mean, the circulations in the market. Okay. Other than that, how it impacts corporates? This is we already aware. Like
Because
till the COVID time
the
period comes up, till that COVID time period impacted our lives, right? Corporates has a tendency, even if you're looking from third-party vendors, like who are the KPOs and the BPOs, right? Basically, I'm giving just a certain example. Every BPO and KPO has a stringent level agreements with the SLAs, which we call as SLAs with the customer. I mean, to the organizations, like just like Genpact we have, just like EXL we have, Cognizant, Concentrix. These are the companies which are the players, essentials. These are the players in the market. When you look into the SLAs from an auditor's perspective, you may see that there is a clause of data privacy as well. But My question here is, what point I want to make here is data privacy, if this is a risk which exists, it's not something which is existence at the time of only COVID. That data privacy risk is not an emerging risk. Data privacy risk already into the systems, legacy systems of the company, pre-COVID period as well. But what has changed from just because we are doing people starting doing work from homes? And if they are starting doing work from homes, you may oversee that, hey, if they're using it, they will start passing on the informations. Then another question comes up. If your companies believe from an organization's environment perspective that data might be leaked, data might be leaked in the organization by sitting into the organization premises as well, right? What has changed? What exactly has changed? That is my question,
I
which you,
believe
as an audit,
it's a remote access the organization started giving.
if you're looking for the remote access, VPN, every organization is using VPN as well. Even before that, VPN is not a new concept. I mean, not a new technology. But yeah, you can say the dependency on the VPN getting increased
Right.
during that COVID time period. There are two
I think
aspects. First,
with the help of
yes, yes, sir.
AI now it's very easy to go into the system and crack the codes because AI can itself differentiate so many codes and so many coding and the Python and everything. So for the hacker, it is now very easy with the help of AI. They can go into the company systems and crack the passwords and the username. Because before
Absolutely correct. Yes,
2019,
that
we don't have the AI or something. I think the
AI
kind of
coming up into somewhere around 2022 or 23. I mean,
yeah,
post-COVID period,
right,
we start discussing about the AI experts because that was COVID time
right,
period was a very premature period for the AI things. I mean, that time the basic focus is not survival, even from the organization's perspective as well, and from a human life perspective as well. Because that time we are all over the world, we are fighting for the survivals. That what I'm trying to put here is what exactly has changed in the COVID period because see, everybody knows from a corporate perspective, like from the big organizations or the organization perspective. First thing, when you are sitting into the premises, you are using a secure network. I'm not asking for VPN things. Secure networks, I mean to say here is that you already aware what are the chances. I mean that you are already aware what are the risks. You are already aware that how you can your IT professionals can control it. We will cover it in IT audit experts. I mean, I'm not going in IT audit as of now because this is all part of the IA. But if anybody of you ever part of the IT audit, there are a couple of things. I'm not going in deep, but yeah, we will provide the role-based access controls. Have you aware about the RBAC, role-based access controls? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
When we are saying that we are giving role-based access controls, just take your own example as well. That if you are part of an IA team, just take a we are a part of organization first, then we are part of any specific team or specific function. I'm discussing it from an organization structures perspective as of now because that is something which is very relevant. Then we will step into the internal audit. Then, do you get an access of the payroll for all employees or only for your own account? Even if you're an IA.
We get
Right.
access to just our information, and during the audit as well, like if we are auditing the payroll team processes, they share the data, and I mean they just uh, I
Redact
mean
some of the information.
yeah, they remove some of the information which is like delicate or maybe a personal information of a particular individual. They remove that thing before sharing that data with us. That's the
Absolutely right.
data privacy thing. Yeah.
Absolutely right. Now my another point here is you are saying that you are getting the redacting information which is you consider as a PII, personal information, PI information, right? What is the purpose of redacting it? even with the auditors? And is it allowed?
Yeah, that's a, I mean, it's a basically a agreement with the client as well, right? When we are
You do
handling
any
any task.
agreement with the client. See, you do any agreement with your client. That is not restricted you to have an agreement. But why your client is saying that, hey, if I want to have an agreement with you, I have a contract with you for this year, and my team will give you the redacted documents. See, for an auditor, we always consider that whenever you write an engagement letter, right? When you are, see, guys, always, whatever discussion we will have, I'm not going to discuss it from your own team's perspective. Means I'm not going to restrict myself only that, hey, you are working for a corporate and you're only testing the controls. Control testing is one of the key part of our IA, but not everything. I'm talking you from a perspective when you are a practitioner, when you are a main auditor itself. So always think from that perspective that you are the people, you are the guys that you are dealing with your client directly. Right? For everything, you are the responsible people. Now, when your client comes up, you are going to have an agreement with them, right? You are saying, your client is saying that we will provide you the redacted document whenever you ask for something. So but because we don't want to share the personal information of our team. But on the other side, being an auditor, you say that, hey, you are supposed to provide me all the information and the unrestricted access of your document. Don't think there might be a conflict in a practical life that you might not agree to some point or your client might not agree to some point.
I can I tell you something, Nikhil? It's basically a GDPR. According to GDPR, you have to ask the related information, and under GDPR, Global Data Protection Policy, I
Absolutely.
think that's not allowed to share the. So you should not be able to personally identify a person.
Definitely. That's what the right word which I'm trying to heard. You are absolutely right, even Vasha, and also that we will do an agreement. Whenever there is a conflict between your agreement with your client, that hey, client is saying something that I'm not going to provide you, but you are saying that I need that information for the purpose of fulfilling my audit duties. That there, if there is any specific law which is prevalent, just like from an European perspective, we have a GDPR law. From Indian perspective, we have DPBP Act as of now and IT Act earlier, which is saying, and this is part of our Indian constitution as well, which we called means no one can breach your privacy during our audit cycle as well. Whenever you performed an audit, during or even after closing that, we are not supposed any information outside our work environment. That's something which is applicable to us, and that's something which we have to maintain in terms of confidentiality. So my point here is there are some regulatory expectations as well, which we have to fulfill as an IA as well, as a organization as well. When you are a part of our management, you have to take a call that what information needs to be shared with the auditor. You always remember you're supposed to share the all information with them with a transparent manner. But if something is restricting you from a regulator side, that information, even if it is an auditor, need not to be shared, you have to directly call it out. Directly call it out. That is something which is an ethical requirement expected out of an auditor as well, and from the management side as well. From across institutes, I mean, be it be it CPS, be it CAs, be it anyone else in the market who are operating as like who are working as a professional. So there are some ethical requirements which I want to quote here. Again, come back to COVID time period. What happened in the COVID time period is because the way of working has been changed. Because of change in way of workings, the mindset has been changed because there's a PSI mindset with the organization as well, because organizations are not understanding that how they can be sustained in the market because there is a disruption to their lives, disruption to their businesses as well. If you, for an example, before COVID time period, just take very quick one example, very small example. What happened is you are visiting your offices, everybody. When we are visiting the office, come working for 5 days, working for 6 days. In order to get you into the office, organizations arranging you couple of things like work hygiene, they're ensuring. They required AC, you required air conditioners as well, you require cab facilities, you required meal facilities, you required securities, you required data, you required unrestricted internet access in order to comply with your things. You required rooms. I mean, you required a complete set of infrastructure which consists of your building to your IT. And it requires a huge cost investment by the companies. Huge cost. But when the COVID time period disrupted everything across globe, first and foremost thing, companies adopted that very quickly and permitted employees to work from home. Two things they have taken into consideration. First, there is a sustainability issues with every sort of companies. They have to be taken at quite high level decisions that whether in order to be sustained into the market, first of all, they have to work on their cost optimizations. Because if they're not working on the cost optimization, they are unable, there might be a chances that their going concern might be in danger. Second, they have to ensure that whatever SLAs they already have with their client, and if their workforce is diversified in that location, I mean, for an example, if you're working for a Gurugram office, and in the Gurugram office, if there is a 14,000 head counts, and in the 14,000 head count, you want to segregate everybody, there might be 20 out of 28 states, there are 20 people from 20 states. And when the COVID time period comes up in the 2020, everybody start working on their own specific locations. People from Bangalore shifted to Bangalore itself, Mumbai person shifted to Mumbai. I mean, this happens. For that, they have to create a system where everybody can come on a one place with the restricted accesses and the applicable accesses, that no one going to breach the data privacy and also can interact with each other in a very user-friendly manner. That's why the usage of MS Teams, Zoom calls, or these has been enhanced. But the only thing that this is a very simple step they have taken. No. At the governance level, decision has been taken up. They have taken a decision that we are moving from work from home, and after the COVID period, we are moving for a hybrid structure. Because of that, we have to work that whether we require an additional workspaces as well or not. Across globe, it's not about India. You may see, if you look into Wikipedia, you Google something, you will see companies are not, companies left out their lease offices, reduces the lease offices because they do not require it because they already built up a system. Another thing, there was a chance because of everybody is working from home, COVID period is like this, every rival countries or a companies want edge to use, I mean, this disaster is an opportunity. Right now, what happened in the market? Everybody is fighting, and some people out of the disaster try to take an opportunity in terms of the oil market. It is happening right across globe. That's what happened in the COVID time period as well. Why I'm trying to convey this, because you might ask that, hey, this is not an audit, but this is our audit. This is our core audit. Because when we are unaware that what actually needs to perform at a governance levels, we are not going to start anything. Governance, these decisions, be it investment decisions, be it data privacy norms, be it any new act implementations, creating the policies, implementing the policies, having the transitions, taking the new business expansions, product expansions, takeovers, amalgamations, mergers. These kind of decisions have been taken at the biggest level. I mean, the people who are responsible for governance, we will call it as people those charged with governance. And these are the people we consider as board of directors. My point here is with the passage of time, with the change in technology, with the change in politics, with the change in economic factors, with the change in due to market barriers, due to war threats in the war, everything gets changed. New risk comes up, new risk will emerge. And as an auditor, we have to look into each and every aspect because our focus from a definition, I'll go on the definition immediately after that, and I'll put it these discussion there as well. Because as an internal auditor, the expectation is not only to test the piece of controls. That is one part. When you look into the first LOD cycle, I'll show you probably the next or next to next class, the whole cycle of the first LOD. There's a three people, right? First LOD, second LOD, third LOD, right? When you look into the cycle of the first LOD, I'm not going into audit as a third line of defense or on the operational risk management or the risk management people in the second line of defense. I'm here at the first LOD as of now. You may see people in the first LOD also test controls for them, which we called it as RCSA or PRSA. Risk control self-assessments of the process risk self-assessments. There's a difference in that, but nowadays we are focusing on RCSA methodologies. The matter here is at a governance level, they have to take a very harsh decisions, having very decisions which may have impact on across organizations, which we might result. So for an example, if you want to implement an ERP software, just an ERP software into the system, what has been changed from your audit perspective? You all are working professionals. Just one ERP software you need to change in the organizations across. I'm not because ERP is not something which you implement in India, not in US or not in Netherlands or not in any other country. It will be same for everyone, right? Because it's your organization. When you're just taking a decision to change an ERP system, what exactly going to change for you as an auditor? Not from an organizational perspective. Think as an auditor now. I want everybody you to develop that thinking. I mean, relate your thinking, your way of working with your concepts. That will definitely give you an idea that how we will proceed further and how you handle the questions as well. What exactly will get changed? It can be anything.
Completeness and accuracy of report, the way they are extracting the report before, like we need to validate the completeness and accuracy.
Other than controls.
Okay.
Yes, that is
There
there.
might be transparency.
How?
We may need
What is
new
a major
staff.
risk? What is a okay, let me
We,
reiterate it.
we may need
It's a
new
major
staff
risk. You may need to stuff. Why you need a new stuff?
because of change in technology, like change in software
Change in
expertise.
software is okay. So you will say skill expected from an auditor might get changed because of that. Your existing people might not have that skills to handle that change. So you
Exactly.
need to hire a people as an audit team who will handle that change.
Or
Absolutely right.
we have to give training.
You can give the training, yes. Another question. Because of the change in ERP, you want to implement that. What is a major risk you may see? Major risk. Because we are the auditors, we have to assess the risk, right? And people are love to hear about the risk assessments.
Record retention from the previous ERP and the completeness of data migration, whether
Data migration risk.
yeah.
I think
That
we
is a
need
major.
to also check the entire change which is
Change
happening. So the
management.
complete change management.
Complete change management. Absolutely right. You guys might feel that we are talking from an IT audit perspective. It's not. We are not going to audit the audit trails but even if you're looking into the business processes of now, you may see even if you're testing 100 pieces, 50 pieces are only technology dependent guys. No organization, be it your own client, be your company, be it anyone, we are heavily dependent upon the technologies nowadays. The reports you are using, data you are using, and this is the saying, not just I'm not saying it for the just for the sake of saying, but it is a hard truth that for any organization, for any country, for any political party, for any auditor, for any type of economic factors, one thing is key to success is data. If you have data, you are the king. If you don't have it, you are not doing anything. That's why you may see that you are getting a direct calls from the credit card companies from banking. But they say, "Sir, can you please take your car? Can you please take your loan, personal loans or something like that?" Or the use of banking products. Have you ever thinking why they are doing it, from where your number has been shared or your data has been shared? Don't you think it's an amazing thing? But it's not, because when we are taking going an agreement with our client that hey, we are going to protect your PIs, but where is your own PI, guys? Where is your own PI? Because data is circulating in such an unstructured environment in some very unrestricted way that everybody can get easy access. If you're using a LinkedIn, your access might be taken. I mean, it's very amazing thing when you're doing a control testing even as well, and you don't have the organization chart, you only have that name of the person. You are directly going to the LinkedIn just to check the designation, so that you can fill it in the testing template. Said, hey, this person is from the writer level, I can approve it. I can review it. Is it happening? We are not even relying that whether the designation has been updated by that person in the LinkedIn as well. But don't you think we are breaching the organization's governance mechanism here? Because when you are asking for an organization chart, that, hey, can you please provide me the organization chart so that I can understand what is your hierarchy, what is your responsibilities, who is accountable to whom, who is responsible for what work. That's what that is what my key part of my audit thing. And your organization is saying, your client is saying that, hey, go to the LinkedIn, I give you the numbers, or I give you the names of the people and start searching for the designations. Don't you think it is not a right skill set which is expected from an auditor to do? Obviously, it is not. The reason is organization chart is not just something a part of your audit. When any organization is creating that organization chart, the major purpose for them is they want to define their hierarchy, not for the audit, but for their own company's operations. By assigning the rules, by assigning the responsibilities, and by deriving the accountability. Because if there is no accountability, your governance will be zero. And if your governance mechanism is weak or not even applicable, not is there, I can tell you, I can give, we will discuss about one of the scam here, scandal cases, one, which is Satyam Computers, just like an Enron case we have in US in 2001 and 2002. Even if you have the controls is in place, even if you have a control owners, you have the process owners, you have a senior management, just because your governance is weak, everything get failed eventually. Everything. That's why if you may heard this terminology, I mean this saying that when we are discussing informally between our friends, between our colleagues, or between our families as well, we are always calling it is a good governance things. These are the bad governance. Have you ever think why we are discussing about bad governance and the good governance? What you called is good governance and what you called it as a bad governance. Anyway, these all things will cover in your chapter set. But that time we will spare some minimum time because we already get an understanding about how you differentiate between good governance and the bad governance and relate it with your organization chart.
Where the roles and responsibilities of individuals are clearly defined and it is existing and working, that will be considered as good governance according to me.
Okay. Now a
Sir,
counter question. Yes.
Yes.
Then I'll give you a counter question. Okay, no worries. Question. Yes, yes.
bad governance happens when government power is used unfairly, corporately, or insufficiently. So, mean the corruption, lack of
Mm,
transparency, no accountability.
agree. Agree. But when we are saying that the rules and the responsibilities are defined, right? When we are saying the rules and responsibilities, okay, discuss from a political side itself, that we will relate it with the corporate law. Don't you think our corporate, everything in the political lifestyle is defined by our constitution? We have a different concurrent place, we have a state place, we have a different people, we have a democrat, the rules and responsibilities along with the powers are defined in the constitution as well. And then there is a separation of powers with the democratic peoples in the bureaucracy, like the IS, IPS, or the administrative guys who are responsible for managing the law and order situation in the entire country. It is defined, right? Be it any government. Or is there any change? Is there any change? Take an example from Indian Constitution. And for your corporate sector thing, reverse your word constitution from your policy and procedures along with your MOA and AOAs. What exactly will get changed? If there is there any change in the constitution or anything else? That is the
It
counter
will
question.
be it will be changed in constitution.
Can you tell me what was the last constitutional change? What was the last constitutional change in last 15 years?
Maybe
Can
this
you give me a single
Citizen
amendment?
Citizen Amendment Act, CA.
One amendment was coming up when the GST was implemented, but that is not going to change the power structure along with the roles and responsibility from the democratic people and the bureaucratic people.
Sir,
Think about it. I'm giving you a 1 minute. Give me a 1 minute. I will start then. Think about it, guys. Don't be very quick. Think about it because there is no constitutional change or amendment in last 15 years so far as powers are concerned. Just take 1 minute.
sir,
I'll be back. Just
women's
1 minute. I'll be
reservation
back.
bill.
Just take 1 minute. Every answer which you're saying is not on the grounds of the powers. Just take 1 minute. I will be back. I will be back in 1 minute. Think about it. Yes. Now tell me, what has changed?
I think it's rules and
Okay.
regulations. Like if we talk, if we like we were talking about the organizational chart, right? So as per the rules and regulations, every company or the
Discussing from a
process.
political company, we will relate with the organization chart as well. But
Mhm.
my point here is just discussing from a political side as well. What has changed from a governance side? I mean, people are saying, quoting here, there is some constitutional changes. So my counter question here is that if you're saying the constitutional changes were there, so in the last 15 years, what was the constitutional change which is impact your existing powers, which is there for the central government, state government, bureaucratics, or at the local party, local like municipal corporations? Anything change you have seen?
I believe right to information is a powerful tool that has been uh, implemented by the
There is
government.
only one word, guys. Every batch, this thing comes up for me. There is only word which has changed from a bad governance things to the good governance things. You can relate to any specific country which has this. I mean, most of the countries have this. Only one word. Let's
Um,
take one.
can I tell something? So
Yes, yes.
there are policies already in place, rules of law basically, and the interpretation of those policies based on the different people coming and going is changing. And is
Okay.
it
Just take an example here now. Income tax. There is an income tax act which was passed in 1961 in India, right? Beat any government, beat any bureaucrat, beat any population size, or beat any state. Income Tax Act was intact till 1961 to till this to 31st March 2026. Everything remains same. There's some changing in the rules, and there's some changes in the laws. But that is a part of changing law. That is not a part of changing constitution. Second, when you're saying that there are the changes, some of the interpretations are there, different interpretations are there, different opinions might be there. It is applicable to our audit work as well. That when you're looking into the text structures, when you're looking into the complex financial reportings, when you're looking into the some complex legal consequences, legal structures, you might face that might have different opinion, you might have different opinion, because that is a subjective matter from human being to human being. But if there is any change in opinion, if there is a change, a lack of right interpretations, there are some intent, there is a change. So for that, we have a forum in the tribunal, form of tribunals in the court, where the rulings has been made. So come up on an optimized structure to define a process that, hey, this is supposed to happen. They corporate, if there is any there is some ambiguity, or there is some falsified information that I interpreted most wrongly from my client's behalf, you interpreted wrongly from your client behalf. I mean, court are there to take a decision, and that decision has been considered as a court rulings for your further similar sort of matters when you're dealing with any specific any client on that specific matter. But the thing which has been changed when we call it as a good governance or a bad governance is only one thing: setting the accountability, make your people accountable towards your policies. You have your policies, you have your constitution, you have everything. You all define that, hey, this person is reporting to whom, this person is there. But when you're not setting the accountability, everything gets failed automatically. This is what happened in the Satyam case as well. In Satyam case, if you see overall structures, they have controls, and there is very good type of controls. They're already designed in there. Everything is there. Certain checks they have done. But the only thing they have lacked over the years is the setting up the accountability. People start believing that they are free to do anything. You have that law, but your bureaucracy is not able to implement that law or let the people know to abide with them. It is again coming considered as a bad governance. We call it as that when there is a just take a criminal example now. You may see that this particular area or this particular state is very popular for criminals. There's the murders going on, rapes going on, some ransom killings going on. Don't you think we have a BNS or IPC law for that? We have IPC law to punish them. We have a POSH Act. We have a Women's Protection Act, Women's and the Child Protection Act for them. Even after that, you have the policies. I mean, consider act as a policy for you. We have a policy, and whom should you made accountable? Who will be accountable to abide with them? Those criminals first, and also the people who are responsible to maintain the law and order. Your lower levels, who are the we called it as police, because there is no fear that hey, if you do a crime, you will be punished. Means we are not setting the accountability for the police side as well, and for those people who are thinking that hey, I can do anything and I will be free. Think from an organization's perspective now, related with them. Your board of directors, your governance team define a policy. Just take a POSH Act as of now, because POSH is something which is a very discussing matter, very trending matter nowadays in the organizations. You define a policy on POSH which is aligned with your law passed by the central government, right? You define your policy, but people are not abiding with them. How will you deal with it as an auditor, or how will you oversee it? What is lacking here? The only thing which is lacking here is accountability. There is no consequence fear in the mindset of the senior management people or the lower management people that, hey, if we commit a crime, and crime is not only financial in nature, crime is also from a compliance side as well. Compliance is also from your policy side, when not because of your not adhering with these cultural norms. And again, on this module, I have always and mostly use the word culture. The crux of the matter here is whatever we discussed in past 1 hour. What is really important is culture. Now, think from your own example. Whenever you have taken a decision that you want to work with XYZ organization, what first thing you will consider before joining or before even appear for the interview? From your research side or from your discussion to your friends, with your colleagues, from your past experiences?
Work culture.
Work culture. Have you ever think only for compensation initially?
Yes, but that comes secondary. Primary is work culture, the environment,
Work
and
environment.
yeah.
Why it is necessary? Why not only compensation?
Because if the environment is good and the culture is good, then not only you grow, but you learn, and compensation would always follow the learnings that you have done, and the growth that you have received. So compensation, of course, follows the growth and the learnings, and that learnings follows the culture, basically.
Definitely. Why we look for the work culture is because we know that if we are still having the skills, compensation will follow it. Think from an organization perspective, because organization is not something which is only relevant for you as an employee, for me as an auditor, or for anybody as a legal counsel or something like that. Organization is operating in a manner that they have internal stakeholders as well as they have the external stakeholders as well. And in order to have that confidence of stakeholders, so-called stakeholders, either from the external side or from your internal side, in external stakeholders, for an example, your regulators comes up, your government, your if you're a BFSI company, like if you're a banking company, your RBI, norms coming up. Your government, your shareholders and investors. If you are unable to gain their confidence, you are not able to compete. Even survival is today's environment is very, very critical. Now take one more example, guys.
I would like to share my practical experience.
Yes.
I have just moved my previous job which is the pharmaceutical industry. Now it is a building industry, but it's multinational listed company. But before coming here, I was thinking whether the culture of this organization is very good or not. And I have talked to the respective concerned people. I have because at that time my brother, only brother, pastor, leading his two sons. But the thing is, when I come to that, I was thinking I can learn from here in terms of the good audit practice being a multinational company and listed company. But I was very concerned about the culture of this organization because, but now I have been facing a lot of problems over the last 1.5 years because from the top level and the mid level, there's a lot of fraud and unethical practice happening, and it's very tough to manage both people here in Bangladesh and also outside Bangladesh. There are a lot of conflict happening here. So always I'm thinking last over the 1.5 years whether I can stay here for a long time or not. So it's all about the cultural issue here I'm facing. So I think it's very important. I cannot concentrate on my own work, own task. There is no proper support I'm getting from the audit committee as well, because there is conflict also made between Bangladesh and also abroad, where the group people work there. So I think so if I want to work to make my career more, I want to learn and I would like to implement the good practice of internal audit. So culture is very important. So this is I'm facing here in Bangladesh over the last 1.5 years. So my
So
concern
it's really important as well. The way the thing you are highlighting here, it's really important because see what is happening here. Just take an example as well that there is an obligation on the government as well that to get the investments right. Have you see investor summit over your social medias or your TVs or any YouTube platforms like that. Any investor summit you have ever seen? Anybody? How will you make sure as a governance or when you am talking like from a government side or from a board side, where you need to invest? What is a primary thing is required your investors to get attracted to invest in your business? From my business perspective here is from a government. So for a state government to get the more investments, what is the primary thing they have to make sure that is there? What they are give try to give, they have to give them in order to attract the investments.
I think, hello.
Yes, Anita. Yes.
Yeah. So I think the investors need to be assured that they won't be facing any operational hassles, and it would be a there would be a conducive environment for them to invest, and whatever returns they're expecting, I mean, their return on investment would be higher, and that would be as per the expectations.
Absolutely. That's why when you just now relate it with your organization that you are the investor, not you have to be multiple roles right now. We will discuss something from audit perspective and sometimes from customer, vendor, or investor perspective. When you're going to take a decision to invest into XYZ organization, what you will think before giving money to them, your hard-earned money,
I think it will be. I think it will be political stability and good governance.
good governance. Absolutely right. Now I believe the people who might not even think governance is playing a very important or key role. That's what for you all guys. If there is no governance or a lack of e-governance, you are hesitant to invest as well. When you are hesitant to invest as well, don't you think your employees who are responsible for operations take seriously to your business, take your business seriously, I mean, any business, any department. And if your not department are not functioning well or working in an integrated manner, what would be the result, our ultimate result? What is the final result, guys, if this will happen?
There can be frauds or scams within the organization. And therefore, we need accountability.
Hmm. Ultimately, it might result to either fraud, scams, or even your company wants to stop working as well. Will it be there? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we will come to our topic now. Just want to understand, make you understand about the governance importance. And we have some frameworks which we are going to discuss in the later classes as well, where your governance will always play a very important role. And you will understand that how will you part of that governance as a facilitator or as a auditor as well. Because again, it's not something which we are not supposed to do from a governance side, or we are only going to test controls. Even if you are a good control tester, I mean, you are a control testing expert or process testing expert, does not mean if you're working for a corporate, you're only restricting yourself for testing that. Your rules might get changed because of your experience. One time you might work as a third LOD, sometimes you might work as a second LOD role as well, or sometimes a first LOD as well. But when it comes to expectation from the external stakeholders, the expectation from auditor is different and external expectation from first line is different. Because auditor will never own any process. Means auditor being a third line will never take responsibility of any functioning of first line of defense. The only reason is because we are the auditors, we are not the risk owners. Means we are not owning the risk. Owning the risk is with the first line of defense. Hence, whenever you are part of any walkthrough calls, meetings, or when you are discussing anything in terms of your environment, in terms of culture, in terms of any process like revenue, payroll, anything like that, you always discuss and quote as they are the facilities. We are not. If they did right, results will be right. If they did something wrong, you will detect it. So to mitigate the risk, which we call as inherent risk, which we call, you are aware about the inherent risk, guys? The terminology, I'll explain it in a detailed manner. Inherent risk.
Yes, Nikhil.
So the inherent risk, to mitigate that or to reduce the inherent risk is the responsibility of management. Means the first line, it's not us as an auditor. We are going to evaluate it. We are going to detect the gaps or anomalies or fraud or any other thing. The reason is we are the auditors. I always remember when you're looking for thinking from an auditor's perspective, we are the auditors. We are not owning the overall risk lies in the processes. And that is a clear-cut distinction between the roles and the responsibilities. Whatever work we do, we are accountable for that. For my work, no one else will take the accountability. Similarly, for first line of defense, the people who are directly part of the business, whatever they are doing, for their actions, I'm not going to be accountable for. If they did their duty in a truthful manner, everything seems like right. Otherwise, if you look into any fraud case, I mean, we call Satyam case as a fraud case, right? 2008 and 2009. Who was the auditor of Satyam, guys?
PwC.
PwC. Who did wrongful reporting in the financials, misreporting in the financials? Auditor? management. So for the misreporting into the financial statements or the loss of the investors' confidence, and also a huge thousand of crores money out from the market just because of the after the press release of the Ramalingam Raju. I'm taking that example relating it to your audit. We, as an auditor, you will be accountable for losing the investor confidence and also losing the investors lost their lives and also the misreporting. Or I mean, you as a consider as you as a PwC here. Will you punish for that? Was you punished for that? Yes, no, no. PwC as an auditor punished for the acts where they are not even apply their professional skepticism. Means the punishment is on the grounds of wrongful auditing, not for misreporting. That is a clear distinction. Means our bodies, I mean our regulatory bodies, from an Indian perspective, it's Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. From US perspective, it's AICPA. Or for UK perspective, there is also a Chartered Accountant Institute of England and Wales. Similarly, for Australia and New Zealand, there are Chartered Accountants of India or Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand. Means these are the regulatory bodies who will going to punish us if we are not complying with our professional standards. Means we are not conducting the audit as expected by them from us to do. But for the misreporting, for the fraud, for losing the investors' confidence, or investor lost their money, lost their life, reputational loss, these all are the losses management has to face in the court of law, not us as an auditor. So that's what I'm trying to make you understand. There is a clear distinction between who is expected to do what activity and who is responsible to get punished for which activity. Hence, when we are giving an opinion, audit opinion, have you ever, anybody of you ever part of any report writing so far throughout your career? Audit report writing?
I am.
Yes.
Yes, I.
What is a keyword you always cite? Whatever process you have done so far, whatever stringently work you have done, whatever support you receive from management, what is a keyword you always write on the report while giving an opinion?
The audit opinion.
Audit. In the audit opinion, what?
Reasonable
True and fair.
Reasonable.
True and fair.
If it's satisfactory, if it is requires remediation, if it is marginally satisfactory, is it? And the key
Right. I
message
mean,
as
these
well.
are your observations. When you're providing the recommendations, you are giving your observations here, not the opinions. Opinion word I'm talking about. One, I mean, not sure, I'm unable to see the name. The word, one person used the true and fair. One is use the reasonable assurance. Yes, right. We always write reasonable assurance. And also when we're looking into the true and fair, why you always say that, hey, this is true? Why are you not sure even after doing your audits, everything that, hey, this is not, I'm not saying it is a true and fair. I'm saying this is right. Everything seems right. No, we cannot. The reason is if we start looking into it, when we are replacing the word reasonable from absolute, means we are saying that, hey, if there is any fraud comes up, we are accountable for that. We are taking accountability for that because we are using the word absolute. But we are only using reasonable to protect ourselves and also leaving a space behind that, hey, whatever expected out of us as an auditor, we fulfill our duties in a reasonable manner as on the basis of the documentation and the information provided by the management to us. Basis our evaluation, we are reasonably assured that the financials and the internal, like ICFR or ICR, true and fair, giving a true and fair. This is a key. Always key, because when we are writing a report, it's also required a skill set. Because if you're quoting something in the report which might go against you, even if you do your duties in a professional manner, it might go against you. And be it anyone, guys, we are not taking any accountability of the work which we are not supposed to take or we are not supposed to do. Misreporting, mismanagement, weak governance, fraud, everything. Risk assessment piece, do yaar, first LOD karega. I mean, done by the first LOD, not by us. I'm not responsible for that. I'm only responsible as an auditor to evaluate it. Be it any auditor, internal, external. Yeah, when it comes to forensics, things might get changed because in internal and external, you are heavily looking into the sample testings. Basically, you are looking into the sample testing, so you are looking heavily dependent upon the results provided by the management. When it comes to forensics, your way of looking into the things might get changed because it is a type of an investigation. I'll again relate it the forensics with your criminal murder rape things as well. Just take one quickly example that if there is any murder, immediately what is the first step your police will do? What is the first step at the place of murder?
They will
Everybody of you look at the
secure the
CIDs
place.
or everything, guys.
They
They will
will
secure
start collecting the evidences.
Collecting the evidences, even before collecting the evidences, they restricted the access. I mean, for that place or that room where that murder happened, they restricted the access of that place first, so that nobody can go access that place without the consent. First of all, they block the access, then start their investigation. Similarly, happened in the forensics auditing as well. Because in the forensic audit, you have that access, and it is something. Whatever results you the forensic audit you will provide, and I can tell you that is enforceable in the court. Whatever audit opinion, whatever audit evidence you have collected, because it is kind of an investigation. Kind of. I'm not saying it is an investigation. I'm saying it is a kind of investigation where your audit results will be considered by the courts as well. Just like the evidence when at the time of murder, forensics teams visit the scene places and collecting the evidences, do their checks and provide a report. And whatever be the report, court has considered that before providing any judgment. Taking samples, collecting it, doing the authentication things, whether it is related to XYZ person or not. I mean, they do their checks, right? Similarly, in the forensics audit as well, we do that. Obviously, we are not using the labs, but we are using our own softwares and also our own skill set. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
We have 1.5 hours
Yes,
on
sir.
just high level things. Now, let's start with internal audit first. And I'll walk you through each and every experts, whatever we discussed. And all your chapters, these examples will come up and I'll definitely read it. So always remember these things so that it will help you to answer your questions as well and to understand the subject very beautifully. Now, what is internal audit? So I'll give you a definition, and with the definition, I'll explain you the things. Internal audit is an independent, I have quoted one word, independent, objective assurance, and advisory function. Let me write it for you. One is independent, objective assurance. And third is your advisory function. We have 2 chapters on advisory functions. And very interesting chapters, I can tell you. We have 3 things. Internal audit is an independent, objective assurance, and advisory function designed to add value and and improve organization operations. And this is a definition which your IA has also given. Before I move ahead, I mean, let's understand about these aspects as well. We have used that we are saying that we are improving the processes. We are suggesting the recommendations or the repetitions things. Absolutely right. We are giving that. We are giving that. So if we are giving that, why not internal audit only considered as a control testing thing? Have you ever think about it? Why we are using the word independent? The reason here is, okay, just take an example from court. When there is a litigation going on, be it civil litigation, be it criminal litigations, what is the key thing expected out of a judge or from a
It should be
judiciary?
unbiased. He should be
Unbiased.
unbiased.
Unbiased means you want that even if you're acting as a lawyer or you're representing the client's case or somebody else is representing the client case as a legal counsel, the person or the system, not only the person, but the system or the person. System here is the judy overall. Just take an Indian example that what we are expecting. The Indian judiciary system should be independent first. But obviously, Indian judiciary system will not going to hear your case, right? It's judge who is part of that system will going to handle your case. Then we are coming a bit down. We are saying that the judge, the person who was hearing your case, should be acting as an independent person, means free from biasness. That's why when it is expecting out of us, our bodies, our regulators, or the government intent is that internal audit also or internal auditor as well should be an independent person, because we are giving an opinion on the processes, on the financials, and our opinions will be considered by us investors. Means if your shareholders are there, you want to go for a new investors, taking loan from the banks, issuing bonds, debentures, how your client will get it sorted. Have you ever think what is the key thing which will become a reason for this? What they will consider? If you want to invest in the Tata company shares, what will really makes you to invest?
Profitability of the company and the going concern.
They are reliable and
How will
trustworthy.
you tell?
The brand is trustworthy.
Sorry,
I'm saying the brand is trustworthy.
brand is trustworthy, and you are outsider. You are an outsider. What makes you to get an understanding that hey, this is a brand?
Mainly
Ever think
financials.
Their financial statements, balance sheets.
financials were there for Satyam as well, guys. What happened in the same day when the press release was there by the Rangmangal Arju, I believe the share price is somewhere around 312. Within 2 hours of time, it went down to 12. Happened. If you're looking into the financials, I'll give you one of the financial of any company, right? Just because of the financials, you will take decision.
Trust in the
Performance as well.
organization.
Their audit
Yes, yes.
reports.
Sir,
The
may
right
I?
word. Yes, Vicky.
Sir, if you're asking the question for that, why would you invest in that? Is it Uh, in that case, I think it's the goodwill of the company more than the financials.
Goodwill. Interesting. Very interesting. How will you ensure that what is the goodwill of the company?
Okay, that comes with reputation in the society at large,
Reputations. Okay.
and for instance, for Tata's, the main person was Ratan Tata, and what he did for as a CSR work
Wait,
and
wait,
what
wait, wait,
he,
wait, 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 wait. We are going a different, altogether different thing. Wait for stick to
I
goodwill
was,
right now.
I was also going to say that Satyam also got many awards, so there was a
Yes, yes, yes.
recognition.
I'll come there. But there's a different thing. When you're saying for a CSR, guys, we are doing CSR because of two things. One, we feel that it's our responsibility to do it. And second, because of mandatory legal requirement. I'm unwilling to do it, but I have to do it. There are two separate things
yes.
now. Because there is a proper section in the companies that as well that, hey, if you are XYZ listed company, I mean, you have XYZ parameters met, you have to be part of the CSR. Yeah, means 2% of your profit will go to the CSR activities. Means somebody will do it basis the legal mandate, and somebody will do it by own self, even if there is no legal mandate required for them. Tata is one of them. No. Whatever you're doing it for the society, it's just not part of, it's not define your goodwill. Because how will you ensure, I mean, from investor decision making, I mean, taking, if your client is investing in the CSR, will you start investing it? What is your motive when you invest? That is also matter, right? If you're going to invest 1,000 crores in any one company, what you will expect from that company for you?
Good returns.
So
Returns, return on
Returns.
investments, right? ROI is very expecting.
Right.
Now think you will get the ROI basis of profit your company will able to achieve in the particular year. Agree? When you're thinking that, hey, my company is like going to have the profit for say 10,000 rupees in a year, but in the 10,000, 2%, I mean 200 crores will go to the government. I mean to the CSR. Do you like it?
so
Now
that's
you
where
like
the
it?
Yes, I think the operating cash flow and the bank loan would be considered.
See, guys, make it think a bit simple here. Gupta. CSR is one part. You are investing in Tata. Always think when we are doing some CSR activities, that also the positive impact of investing or working for CSR initiatives again come back to the companies in form of some valuation, and that is quantifiable in nature, not in a qualitative in nature. And when you can able to quantify something means that is reflected in your financials. If we are talking from a goodwill perspective, guys, goodwill is considered as an intangible asset. But when you consider it as an intangible asset without quantifying the amount, how will you say what is the goodwill of that company? We have to derive a goodwill, right? Once you
goodwill.
derive the values, yes, yes, Vicky.
Yeah, so I was when I was making that point when I said CSR and all. Actually, what I meant was when you said CSR has two intentions. One is because you are saving on tax. I mean, it's a legal obligation, and on what what's the reason behind doing so. A lot of people do it because of tax saving, and one do it out of will. When I spoke about Tata and why the valuation is up and the goodwill is good, because we know, and it's what the reputation has was built was that it was not done to you know to avoid taxation or just get a discount on the taxable income. It was more
I'm with
out
you
of
in that.
genuine.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying you're saying wrong. My point here is That's my focus area is. You are absolutely right because CSR is something which is defining not your goodwill only, but your culture.
Yeah,
Tata is known for their culture. Now,
true.
culture consists of couple of things. One is the CSR. Just like the ITC companies, ITC is the Tata company, right? ITC do a lot of CSR activities. But is every other Tata company do the CSR activity? No, no, not at all. But why they known for their good, their brand? The reason is just go for automobile. Just go for automobile. As much as the ITC company doing the CSR, automobile companies, automobile sector is not doing for Tata specifically. The reason is they are working on the strength. They are giving you the cars as a 5 rated to make you safe during accident. That is also a part of brand. They are ensuring your safety. But again, ensuring your safety is defined in the values. But for us, when we are looking at the customer, our safety is the utmost thing. When you're purchasing a car, sometimes for one person, features matters. Some persons after sales services matters. So everything when we combine it at one place, that should be quantifiable in nature. We call it as a goodwill, which is invisible in nature, but it has a direct impact on your business. So in order to invest in the companies, the major part is the thing which we looked into is audited financial statements, not only the financial statements, or not only the audited report we call. We call the right word is audited financial statements. Now, when we used audited before the financial, we are making sure that whatever auditor has done, that should be an independent in nature, unbiased. Because on the basis of the audited financial statement, you are able to come up with the IPO. You are able to attract more investments. You are able to issue some new shares if you already have invested, if you have some debentures, bonds, or take any kind of investment decision, be it merger acquisitions or be it diversifications. Hence, independence of auditors really, really matters a lot. Is it clear?
Yes.
Everyone's. So far, any doubts? I mean, I'm going very slow, but yeah, I'm trying to relate it with your real life examples as well. But any questions so far?
One question, Nikhil. You said audited financial statements. On the company side, can we see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Go for Indian companies, you go to MCA, right? Ministry of Corporate Affairs, with some limited fees. I mean, 50 rupees or 100 rupees fees. You will get the entire bucket. Even we use it. I mean, being a chartered accountant, we use it because sometimes we have to perform some investigations. And when we are doing some investigation, because which form last year has been filed, I'm just take very generic example because we have to file some annual forms as well every year. So when we are performing some investigation, if it is a new client for us, if we don't aware about it, so just to look into last year audited financial statement, we go to MCA, put the details of the companies, pay minimum fees, and downloaded it. Similarly, when it comes to US companies, same steps you have to follow on SEC website and download any company's audited financial statement because it is a mandate across globally, that they have to file the audited financial statements with the ministries, with the boards. And
So
every
for
year
Europe as well then.
For
Europe as well then, because I live in Netherlands.
everything, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody has to file the audited financial statement with the regulators. For India, the regulator is MCA. For US, the regulator is SEC. For Europe, for the country
It's
specific, they have the
UCB, ECB
UC,
actually.
ECBs, yes.
ECB,
You have to
European.
file everything with the ECBs. Once you go for the ACB side, you might have their SIN number, company's name, full name, directors. You will get every single detail for directors, for decision, board responsibility statement, audit report, audit statement, everything you will get it. And that is a public document. That is not confidential enough level. Obviously, you will not see the contracts. You will see the phase financial statements which are audited and displayed to the investors and to the general public along with the regulators. There are some other forms which we have filed being in the company, be it private limited company, be it a public company or listed company. The piece of documents which we have filed with the regulators every year, that is not visible because that is a confidential thing, because that is not relevant for the investors and also for the general public. You will get the audited financial statement that is filed there. So that is why the independent plays a very important role, because if we are not independent on the basis of our opinions, on the basis of the factor figures which we have audited, investors might face some drastic losses. They manipulate with that. That's why our independence is the cornerstone of internal audit. So an internal audit must operate free from undue influence so that it can provide your unbiased evaluations of your governance. Now always see, I always use first word, unbiased evaluation of governance, risk management, and internal control processes. So independence, if I want to elaborate a bit further, independence is typically ensured through your organization's reporting structure. Now, since last 1.5 hours, which we have discussed about the good governance, bad governance, organization structure, democratic people, bureaucratic people, the only purpose is serving here. Because you have to ensure, how will you ensure the independence? Because your whatever the organization reporting structure looks like, it will going to ensure whether you remain independent or not. Sometimes, in a day-to-day example, I'll explain it in ethics and professional chapter as well, but giving you a high level view. You have that contract with you have that agreement with your client that you will do this audit for this year. You have clearly called out that during the audit, I'll require all information which is relevant to my audit. I'll provide unrestricted access to the documents which is might relevant for my audit activities. But during the audit work, because of some indicators, you feel that there is a chances of some misstatements of the fraud. You ask for the evidences, you ask for the documentation, and your management start making excuses or delaying the process. Don't you think, being a professional skeptic people or the auditor, you will see that, hey, there's some wrong can happen, could happen in the statements, in the processes? Yes. But they're not supporting you. They're not giving you. They're not able to complete your audit. Then you have to follow again the CAEs. I'll explain about CAE. That is really interesting thing. But again, you have to follow it because again, you go to CAE, CAE will go to my board will go to senior management. There is again a process. But what you are trying to achieve, because you want to try to achieve here is, if you're not getting the right support, even which is documented in your internal audit charter, internal audit mandate, which we call as engagement letter as well, we are trying to protect our independence. I don't want that because of this, if my independence get impaired, I'm not able to provide any opinion on that. Hence, independence is typically ensured through your organization's reporting structure. So in the most governed organization, follow my word, most governed organization, your chief audit executive reports functionally to the audit committee of the board of directors while maintaining an administrative relationship with the senior management. I'll explain it. Don't worry about it. I explained the CE structure. So because of this structure, it prevents management from controlling the scope, findings, or your conclusions of an internal audit. Now, before I move to objective assurance, have you know about CAE? This is a first class discussion I always want to have. OCAE.
Chief Audit Executive.
He's the head of the audit.
Head of
Chief
the audit.
Auditor.
Head of Internal Audit.
Chief Audit Officer.
That is the
Which one?
center of excellence.
Center, not center. Come audit side. CAE. Everybody of you
CAE.
give
Okay, all
me
right. Okay. Oh,
CAE,
yeah.
Chief Audit Executive. You gave me the right word. Who is CAE? Why I require the CAE?
To have the connection between the board and the inter-audit department, so they can solve the problem between this particularly and
What is the
solve
powers of him? What is the powers of him?
power.
Oh, amazing.
He,
This is an
he has
interesting one.
he has the reporting authority to the board. He has access to the board, so that's the power. So have you heard?
I mean, define whatever your experience with your own CAE, define it. I want to hear back from you. You all are the internal audit experts. You always
Yeah,
do this
so
CAE. Have you ever think
chief auditor
why you're
has the
discussing with everything with CAE?
chief auditor executive has the access to the board. So directly communicate with the board if they any face any issue.
That is his hierarchy, guys. That is his hierarchy.
Okay.
That is question is different. My question is not hierarchy as of now. Yes, you are right. He reports to board. Now I can question you. Why only to board?
Need to board because the board is independent from others. Like CEO is not who is responsible for the administrative reporting. So board there are some independent
It's a half one.
person.
It's a half one, not the right one. It's you're right to some extent, but not the complete. Anybody else?
Bridge between the stakeholder and the board of directors, like audit.
Yes. So just because he's a bridge, we call it as CAE.
Like
It can be
one.
anyone with any other name.
He reports to audit committee.
Anybody can report to audit committee. Na? Why only CAE? What do you want to achieve?
Because he is doing the independent audit as well. Like,
That's why he called it as executive audit. But why?
Functionally, he reports to audit committee.
And then
And also
Because
he also reports to CEO basically for the
but that
administrative.
is his reporting cycle. I mean, that is his job. I mean, he reports to XYZ people, who cares? But why to board only? And why to EOs as well? That's my
Because
question.
internal auditor reports to the board of directors only. It is not to stakeholders.
Ah, not to
So
stakeholder. We are not reporting
so
to
the
anyone. I
CA is
mean,
appointed by board only, Nikhil. So the board is appointing the CA. Mm.
okay,
So
you're saying
I
that
think
whoso appointed anyone, that person is known as CA because board appointed it, hence we are going to report to the board.
No, internal
What is the
auditor.
purpose?
Internal
CA
auditor
is
purpose is
independent.
One by one, guys. Please. One
internal
by one.
auditor always reports to board of directors.
Sir, to
As
maintain
internal
independence,
auditor, external auditor reports to stakeholders.
No. Auditor
CA is
always
managing
reports to
the
stakeholders, guys.
CA is
Even for the
responsible for
external
management of.
auditor, just clarify here, then I will ask again this. We'll continue this. When we are performing any audit, we are not performing audit for the board of directors. That's the first thing. But our approvals, most of the things has been approved by board. But our results should be and always be put on the table in the annual general meetings. Let me reiterate. We are not going to work for board, but board has powers to approve our budgets, to make sure that we are getting the right support, to make sure that we are getting not only getting the right support, but also if there is any independence breach, is there any other support we require, board requires to do that. But whatever audit results we have, that should be presented to the audit committee, and audit committee has the responsibility to share it across. Because otherwise, if we are going to report to the board, we have to tilt or we have to work according to the board only. And there is no independence left. There is directions given by board. Yeah, you may have some discussions on your scope of working, but even if your scope is XYZ for a specific area, but that should be an independent for you. If board controlling that as well, I'm not going to work for that. Sometimes there is an undue influence by the board as well. Then you have to take a right decision whether you want to continue with that audit or not. Because your audit results are always considered by the stakeholders, be it internal, be it external. Because just take one example here. You are looking into an area which might consist of fraud. Just take one example here. You give your opinion that everything is free from, and you have that influence from the board, and board is saying that, hey, please pass it. You pass it. Because it has direct impact on the reputation. And board or directors does not want that, do not want that impact come on the reputation and come on theirs. Later, external auditor identify that and report to the regulator. Obviously, you are there if you are not having your right background, right evidence, right working papers. That hey, on the basis of what you have derived this opinion, regulator will not going to ask that whether you are working for board influence or not. Regulator will immediately say, hey, where is your India? How you perform this? You say you don't have you can't say to them that hey, I'm working with the working as by board as said. No, you are not the people. I mean, you are even if you're part of the organization, you are not acted as a subordinate of the board. You are the auditor. You always remain independent. So always consider yourself is not say always not never consider that you are working for board. You are working not for board but working with the board. There is a difference in for and with.
Nikhil,
Is it clear?
Ashish this side, and some more clarification is required on this. For example, say board and the organization, they have their for organization that they have their own objective. Okay, if I understood properly from my last experience, it is the internal audit
Common objectives.
who will
I'll
aim.
come on objectives.
So yeah, but it is not getting that clarity that okay, we are not working for boards because at the end board need assurance, right? Okay, whether that all
See,
these
if
things
board
are
has some
working.
objective, let's wrap it up in a one line. Board has objective that we called it as a business objective. Agree? To fulfill it, to complete the business objective is the responsibility of the auditor or to the management.
Management, and whether as per the internal to achieve that objective, whether that internal controls are in place or not, that is the that is our role in come into play, right?
No, it's not our responsibility. It's not our responsibility whether internal controls are in place or not. Right? Because if you're saying that it's our responsibility whether internal controls are in place or not, we are not the auditor. We are just acting either as an advisor
Okay,
or we
just
are acting as a manager.
yeah, just to
Let me clarify. Let me clarify. We are not responsible. First, clear it in mind. We are going to check, we are going to test, we are going to evaluate the internal controls. We are not going to operate it, first of all. But if board has some business objective to achieve and align the objective with the policies, with the operation, is the responsibility of the senior management and other part of the management. Always think we come in place when everything has happened. either the positive or the negative. We are the detectors. We are not the preventers. Are you able to relate with my word, preventing and detecting? If I am the detector, I want to, as an auditor, I will test the controls. Have you ever tested that control which is not even operated? Come from a control testing thing. Have you ever tested control which is not even operated? If it is a monthly operation control, give me answer, guys.
No.
No. First of all, that control was operating in a particular operating cycle. And once it is operated, you will ask for the population, you ask for the required documentation along with the walkthroughs. Right? Means if it is operated effectively or if it is not operating effectively, it's not matter of your job. Your job is to check whether it is operated or rightly or not. When we are saying that we are going to test it only and giving our opinions, means we are giving an opinion on multiple factors. We are giving an opinion when we are giving an opinion on the governance means. We are saying that, hey, these are the business objectives of the board, but their business objective is not aligning with the policies. So there is a misalignment with the policies. But have you ever seen that you are saying to the board, hey, let's draft your policies. I'm an auditor, I'll draft it for you. And then I'll give you that opinion. No, we cannot, because we are not the management. It's their duty to do it, to evaluate whether they tried it, operated it correctly, whether they are implemented it correctly is our responsibility. That's what we have to. So our job is to test the ICs, not to implement the ICs. Or not to implement it the basis of the business objective. Yes, we can do it if we are not acting as an IA, but we are acting as an advisor. Means when we are giving our consulting services, then we can be part of it. But even if we're part of those, we cannot do the audit for that. Possible? Let's take an example. You are a control testing expert. I mean, you are an expert into assessing risk. You are expert in mapping risk. Or if I want to crux it, you are expert in RCSA, risk control self-assessments. If you work with the management to implement, to design with that, once it is done, can you audit that?
Maybe there will be some period like 1 year, 2 year, then we can do that. If
Immediately
I
after
am
that, you
working
can
as
do
an
it.
advisory, then maybe we'll do it. There will be some buffer time or something.
There
Will
is a
not be
buffer
part
time, which is called as a cooling time period.
cooling
Means
period. Yeah.
why cooling time period required? In order to avoid, in order to mitigate the risk of or threat of which threat or
Interest.
risk? Interest. No, interest is not the right word, but familiarity or the self-review. Means
Biasness also
if
you
I
can say.
self-review threat, I cannot do it. After a cooling off period, I do it. These things will come later in our chapter system. There is a 12 months cooling off period which I have to serve before picking up for a challenge work, or somebody else will take it ahead. Now we are on the CAE, guys. Chief Auditor Executive. Yeah, few people are saying right that he reports to whom and next one. Why? My question always come up with why. The reason here is, do we have version as well?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you quoted, he reported functionally to the board and to the EOs. Absolutely right. But my question is why? The reason is, first of all, let's understand. Chief Audit Executive is the highest rank officer. Highest rank officer for any company who functionally report to the board. Administratively, he can report to CEOs and CFOs. That's fine. Why to board and why administrative to them? Means there are two types of CAs. First, CAE is a part of the organization, which we call it as internal CAE or a CAE. For some of the instances, company do not want that they want to hire a specific CAE in-house. In that case, they outsource their CAE function to XYZ company. That on that behalf, external CAE will act as. Even in both cases, CAE's roles and responsibility will be same. Means now consider yourself as a CAE that you are the highest rank officer. Since you are the highest rank officer, whatever internal audit team is doing, along with the engagement partners, you are directly responsible to their CAEs. Means for any independence related matters, for any board of internal audit mandate. I'll explain you internal audit mandate tomorrow. For drafting your internal audit charter, for any support required during the service, during your fieldwork stages, means scope limitations, independence or objectivity, your independence breach, your any risky areas, for any discussions. For each and everything, your first point of contact will be your CAE. CAE is because your CAE is highest rank officer. Second thing, why CAE reports to the board? Why not to other people? Have you ever think why I only use functional reporting to board, not functional reporting to the CEOs here? The reason here is if structure, this is a part of your organization structure, which we discuss a lot today. If we start functionally reporting to the people who is a part of CEO, CFO, so the senior management is not remain independent. For your internal audit independence, his independence remains primary. If he remain independent, your entire function remain independent. If his independence compromised at any particular stage, everything will down. So whatever you want to do, your functions, your report, your every audit procedure remain non-independent. Hence, to make him independent, he reports to the person on who cannot, nobody, be it CEO, CFO, they cannot dictate anything to the board. And somebody who will not dictate anything to the board will be the right people who ensure that this person remains independent. Hence, his functionally reporting to the board, not to the CEOs and the CFO. That is the answer of why. Second thing, he is also responsible. He's also doing some quality checks in your audit. At any point in time during your audit stage, he will pick your audit and will quote it for you. That, hey, whether you're performing your audit duties right or wrong. Because he is your highest rank officer or the senior most leader in your internal audit function in an organization. And also, his role is guided by your professional standards issued by your Institute of Internal Auditors, called it as IIA. Your CAE is responsible for ensuring that the internal audit function operates independently, objectively, and effectively while providing assurance and insights to the board and the senior management. In a modern organization, your CAE is not merely an audit manager. Earlier, we have a mindset that he is only acting as an audit manager. No. CAE in a modern organization act as a strategic governance advisor. Strategic. Guys, listen to my word very carefully. We can never think CAE as an audit manager only. No, it's not. CAE is not merely an audit manager. CAE acts as a strategic governance advisor. Hence, he is reporting to board. Because on the governance related matter, senior management is not responsible to take decisions. They are the people who implement it. To draft it, to approve it is a responsibility of the board, and board has to direct access of the CAE. CAE is the only person who has a direct access to the board. Hence, he always acts as a governance advisor, also a risk expert, and as an assurance leader who plays a critical role in strengthening corporate governance, risk management, and your internal control system. This is the importance of your CE. Now, in crux, basis this discussion, exists this responsibility. One word remains same. He remains independent. If he remain independent, he has to report to the board. If he start reporting to anyone else, his independence might be in question. And if his independence is in question, you will not remain independent in your own set of internal audit function. Not possible. A lot of things, whenever we discuss the concepts, I'll always go further and we will discuss in your book as well that what in this situation, in this particular principle, what CA should do. So I'll explain that CA will function XYZ things. But at a high level, you always think CA as your strategic advisor, as your highest and the senior most leader in the internal audit function. And for board, he is not only the senior most people, but he also acts as the advisor to them on a governance related matters, for the risk management related matters, even whenever there is a strategic decision making in terms of M&A. If you are taking any decision for M&A, board always consult with C.
What is M&A?
Mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisition type, because mergers and acquisition business combinations, these are strategic decisions, these are not operational decisions. But for those kind of decisions, for IPO related matters, for the FPO related matters, for investment related matter, because he is a governance advisor. Yes.
Maybe you mean all corporate action decisions as well.
Which one?
Corporate actions.
Corporate
actions.
Yeah, you can say because because the CA is the only person who has direct access to the board. Because board, when he is reporting to the board, you may see that whenever there is a report. If I get a chance, I'll definitely show you. Look into some reports where some strategy decision has been taken place. Obviously, in a report, you might not see every weight of names that who is defined its strategy decision. You may always see that board come up with the decision for mergers, for investments, for IPOs. But what process they have followed, whatever process they have followed, they always include their CAs. If you're working for an IPO readiness client, means your client is willing to come up with IPO for, say, 3 years down the line. To get him ready that, hey, he is able to come up with the IPO and later on. Your CAE's responsibility will be a bit higher, and as for his responsibility will be higher, as an IE, your responsibility automatically get enhanced. Because before the IPO, it is an expectation from the SEBI as well, from the other regulators, other country regulators as well, that hey, every process should be is in place. Means internal controls are stringent in nature, governance process, governance has very strong mechanisms. Everything is in place before they are going for public money. Hence, yes.
I have a question. When we say board is basically the audit committee, right?
Board or directors are the people who are appointed by the members and the part of the board. Now, when it comes to committees are defined. Committees are composed because there's a composition of directors who head the committees. Now, there are multiple committees. One is audit committee, one is nomination committee, one is risk committee, one is another committees. These committee comprise of board of directors headed by independent director. There is a clause, there is a word of independent director. That's why I've always focused on the independent, because independence is the most important. That even for the director, we have a separate set of directors who call it as an independent director. Hence, board of directors is a bigger chunk. Out of the bigger chunk, some directors part of some committees, and they headed that committee. Entire board is not considered as an audit committee. Audit committee is just part of a board.
Clear. Thank you.
I have a question.
Similarly, we have a nomination and remuneration committee. We have a risk committees. and other committees. Just take your example, take an example. Government exam. We have a prime minister. We have member parliaments headed by Prime Minister of India. Then there is people who we call as cabinet. Means in cabinet there is a cabinet ministers, right? But each cabinet minister have their own portfolios. Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Finance, XYZ. Ultimately, these are the people are member of parliament itself. But from a bigger chunk, they are headed some committees. I mean, ministries or a committees, similarly. So board of directors is a bigger chunk. Out of that, they will comprise a body, which we called it as, audit committee, nomination committee, risk committees, and any other specific committee they require to create.
Sir, I have a question, sir. What
Yes,
does
sir.
administrative ultimately mean? Because I have faced, I have to report to administratively to CEO, but he sometimes cross the border line. So what does
I'm not
actually
able to
mean?
hear. Your voice is not clear actually.
So what does administrative reporting to CEO actually practically what does mean practically?
Can you write it
Administrative
for me,
report.
please? Your voice is breaking for me. I don't sure why, but can you write it for me in the chat?
Sir, I mean, what the administrative reporting to CEO practically, because I have faced a lot of problem when I report to him, but because he that time he played a role like a chief audit executive. So sometimes he guided to lot of things. So I'm confused about his administrative reporting to CEO.
I'm saying that he can administratively report it to CEO as well, but that is only for the administrative functions.
Yes. So what
Administrative functions
function?
contains a lot of things. For an example, they can take your decision on your performance management. They can take some decisions on your composition as well. Some administrative stuffs. But when it comes to actual workings from a rules and responsibility, if you start reporting to them as a CA, they can influence you for their specific processes or the portfolios they are handling, because if you're because you have that fear that, hey, I'm reporting to this person, he's my boss. If I'm not able to work according to his directions, my performance will get he can take it for granted, my composition, my entire career will be unstable. Just take for understanding of that example. Because even in the senior management side, there are a lot of vice presidents and the upper management, senior vice presidents, or the people who are headed the entire departments. And if we start reporting to any one of them as a functional, so don't you think other department heads will react it in a very negative manner, that is saying, hey, he is reported to them, his process ultimately come very effective. They are doubting on our processes. There's a rivalry coming up in the organization itself. Hence, in order to in order to mitigate that risk at a CA levels, board comes in place, because no one can counter the board and no one can go above the board. Hence, functionally, he always work for them. Work for them. Clear for that? Everybody, any doubts so far? I'm not going. Ask your question. I'm not giving taking much of your time today because I don't want to overwhelm you. But yeah, we start discussing today. I mean, just a lecture for you. I mean, lecture in the sense I'm just explaining you what can be possible so that you can broaden your mind that, hey, this is something which is coming your way in further classes. Yes.
I have a question, Nikhil. So how are responsibilities of CA different from the person who is reporting to audit committee? Meaning, like you have global audit directors who reports to audit committee. So the responsibility of that person versus CAE or the function, how is that? Like, what is the scope there?
Look, I didn't understand like what exactly is the
So,
question.
like
Your
you
question
mentioned that CAE reports to board, right? Which also includes audit committee, right? So I'm saying, like in my organization, there's a global head of audit who reports to audit committee. So how is that responsibility of that person different from CAE?
One second. Let me clear it again. Audit, who come in audit committee?
Sorry?
Who comes under audit committee? Who comes under audit committee?
Independent directors, like you mentioned,
It's not, I mean, audit committee is comprised of directors only,
yeah.
not of your senior management, which consists of CEO, CFOs.
Yeah.
Directors only part of the audit committee, right? Chaired
Yeah.
by independent director.
Yeah.
Now, when directors are there, audit committee has their own set of functions, deciding the scope of audit. I mean, conducting the audit on regular intervals, quality, remunerations, any other independence related matters, and presenting results to the shareholders in the annual general meetings
Yeah.
or extraordinary general meetings. Now, I'm trying to say here is audit committee has their own set of functions specifically related to audit. And when we are doing audit, if we reported to the global head, I mean global audit head, who is the director itself, leading the audit committee, it remains same. Yeah, I will doubt if he is not reported to audit committee global head. If he start reporting to CEO, CFOs, then I will be have a doubt. Hey, why it is happening? If somebody who is not director at a director level, board of director, I'm a part of board. See, if a board composition is something which is different from companies to companies. In some companies, you may see board size is even has 50 board members, 30 board members, 25 board members. I'm not going minimum requirement. I'm going, it can be different. Within that 40, 45, 20, 25, they created a committee so that every board of directors, because board of directors is not only responsible to look into the audit stuffs. There are n number of jobs which you have to do. Hence, within the board scope, they divided our scope in the different board of directors. That one director is responsible, like that one set of directors responsible for audit related matters. One set of directors are responsible for strategic decision making or a governance levels. One set of directors looking for the nomination remuneration related matters. Another one responsible for any other, I mean, investor related matters. This is how they divide, right? Ultimately, the nature remains same for them because they ultimately called it as a board of directors. Whatever results will be presented to audit committee, it by default consider as presented to board. Whatever results related to NRC committee present to the NRC committee, it will ultimately by default consider as if we are reported to the board. Means don't think there is a U-shaped table and all the board of directors sitting and when you are presenting your result, it will call as board. No. Obviously, it is a fancy system. You always go that there is a U-shaped table in the long conference hall. The entire board is sitting. But they have comprised with their own set of roles and responsibilities as well. That's what I'm trying to convey.
Maybe one question, Nikhil. So basically, the CEOs and CFOs can't be part of the board, basically. They can't be part of the board.
Fine, depends. They can promote it to the board of directors. See, there is a composition of the board of directors. CEO, when it comes to chief executive officer, there's a highest rank. I mean, the CEOs have their own set of rank. Did they part of any board related decision making? Have you ever seen it? Similarly, at a CEO level, we have COO or CCO, Chief Compliance Officer. Or because of CCO nature, did it become part of board? Have you ever seen it? Might not be possible. They are the people who are looking for the compliance related matters, legal counsel, legal matters. The thing is that fundamentally, the board of directors are the people who represent the owners or the shareholders of the company and responsible for your governance, oversight, and your strategy decision. When it comes to CEO, they are the highest ranked executive. There's a word executive. They are responsible for managing organizations' day-to-day operations. When they are responsible for managing day-to-day operations and implementing the strategy approved by board. So how will you call it as board? We cannot. They are the highest rank officers and executives who are responsible for implementing day-to-day strategy, the strategy approved by the board. The core difference is, now the core difference again is, board appoints and supervises the CEO. When somebody appoints you, so I cannot sit with them. Obviously, I will be a part of subordination. As simple as that. Appointment of board is done by the members. Hence, the shareholders are the owners of the company. Owners has the power to appoint the board. There is a mechanism to appointment of board in the meetings itself. In case of casual vacancies and any other criteria, like resignations. So, board of directors by themselves do not appoint the board of directors. It's members, are the shareholders who appointed them. Hence, the owners. So, CEO please try to check in your organization. Your CEO will report to the board of directors.
I will check and let you know. Yeah.
Is it clear between CEO, CFOs, and board, guys? Everyone, it's already overwhelming for you because there is no break today. But from tomorrow onwards, I definitely give you the breaks. But is it clear? Because I'm yet to start the chapter, but yeah, I'll cover a lot of internal auditings today. But we will start from independence and then objective assurance and advisory function tomorrow. Any doubts so far?
And so no doubts from my side. So I worked for Deutsche Bank previously in the same role in the first line of defense. Just a little introduction about myself. So there have been some jargons which have been, I don't know, I missed the class for some 30 minutes in between today, but I'll be very careful next time round. But I think some of the jargons, such as, the governance when we talk about the compliance, assurance, control testing, RCSA. There's a very thin line between all these terms and governance, be it compliance. They're very, very intermingled. I hope sometime we'll cover this, down the line, maybe someday. So there's very thin line. I want to be very specific because some direct questions being asked and one has to explain as well. So uh, just do maneuver me through all these aspects, sir, in future. I hope
We
during
have
this
a
course.
chapter on RCSA. We have a chapter on RCSA. We're definitely going to discuss on that. We have a chapter when we are providing some advisory function services, where we are not acting as an auditor, but we acting as a facilitator for them. So when it comes to first line or defense, always remember they are the people. They are the people who are part of business. In the business, CEO, CFOs always come place because they are the highest rank executive which I define. Now, within their functions, there are a lot of things. Means just think. Obviously, if you're taking from a multinational company, take a bank example, international bank example, just take it. When we're taking a bank example, don't you think there are only one, their source of revenue is only one? No. They have cards, they have deposits, they have loans, they have forex, they have other related things. So what they have done, when they're defining their governance structure, means their organization structure, they divided everything into segments. Even if they divide it into everything into segments, each segment leader in the segment team will known as a first line of defense because they are directly responsible for a business generally or the revenue generation. Now, each division, see, it can be different from your organization to my organization to another organization. It can be their own set of governance. Every governance is not something which is stringent in nature. I mean, it's just similar for everything. They define. I can XYZ company had defined the governance structure in a different way, and another organization defined it another way. But they have a different product lines. On the basis of the product lines, they have divided their product lines as a complete segment. But each segment directly report to the top management, who is a board level. Within that product line, they have divided sub teams. Means one team who is directly interacting with the customers, one team who is directly responsible to deal with the vendors if vendor is there, one person who is responsible for first line of testings. I mean, first line of risk assessment for them. Even if I'm doing the risk assessment for that particular product line, for that particular project, I mean, to COC, of course, just take an example. Even if I'm testing control or doing risk assessment, I'm again considered as a first line. Because by doing that, my opinion will not go in to the stakeholders. No. My opinion is considered as an internal opinion or a reality first level check for the board. That, hey, we are a part of personality, we are doing it wrong, we have to reduce it before auditor picks it up. Because if auditor picks it up, it will become a matter of regulator or it a matter of opinion. We are not giving an opinion on the because of stakeholder expectation. We are giving an opinion so that within the timeline which we define for our company, we can reduce and mitigate the level at our first line of defense itself. That's we have called as risk control self-assessments. We are mapping controls from audit perspective. We are identifying the doing the risk assessment. Even this RCSA has their own cycle. First of all, you identify it, you perform the risk assessments, then you map the controls, you define the processes, define the risky areas, then so and so far. Then will come the testings, and then will come the the remediations. Even if in our set of function we do the remediation, even if you're part of facility. But always think when you are part of a facility, you always remain part of facility because the expectation for doing the same function which audit is supposed to do is not to giving the audit opinion, but to mitigate the risk at your own level so that before auditor will pick it up and it will become a matter of regulatory reportings or it will become a matter of some opinions in the audit report, you can mitigate it at a first level itself or before second line comes in place. Because board never want that their irregularity highlighted by the board or the people outside, I mean, independent people who are the auditors. They always want, if we can mitigate it at our own end, we are going to do it in a better way. And even regulator loves it. That's why it is a mandatory for a banking sector, specifically in India as well. 2 years, I mean, I'm not remembering that date, somewhere around February, they mandated by a notification that, hey, every banking system should have their internal control team in-house so that they can mitigate the risk at their own business level before it will become a matter of regulators or it will become a matter of audit opinion or the external auditors. Because everybody has a focus that operations should be working effectively rather than we are highlighting in the report. Regulators also want the minimum audit observations. The reason is otherwise it will become a burden for them as well. If your bank is not functioning well and if the risk is not highlighted on a timely basis, government who's acted as a board of directors will ask the regulators, hey, what you are doing? Why are you not able to highlight it in a regular timely basis? Or why are you not able to mitigate in the right time? It happens with the Paytm Payments Bank. I'll go give you the example. Paytm Payments Bank, a couple of years back, what happened? Because of their non-compliances or a regular non-compliances, because regulators were not directly involved, I mean, not even directly monitoring it and ready accepting it initially. But when it goes above their head, they say that, hey, we are restricting you for taking any deposits or making any business in the Indian market. If regulators, I mean, are sitting, I mean, sleeping for a couple of years or the 3 years, it is a matter of concern. Immediately for 5 years down the line, the regulators comes up with some restrictions on the banking, specific banking operation. It's public money, guys. You can't do it. If you are noticing some of the non-compliances, highlight it immediately. Regulators wants that before auditor comes up or fraud highlighted after the 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. It becomes a matter of for answer for them as well. They have to answer in the parliament when they report to government. Because government is accountable to people of India. People of India are the owners of the India or any other country. Just take that example. So if as a part of our salary, we are not going to highlight the issues on a timely basis, we have to report it to the board. The board will ask, hey, why are you not highlighting it? Because in the general meetings, board has to answer to the members. Member will ask, hey, our money is here. What you are doing? Is it clear? I mean, I know I go a bit further, but is it clear?
Yeah. But as I said, I mean, this is just one part of it. As I
There
said,
is
I
only one
mean,
part of it. There is only
yeah,
one part of it.
yeah. But I mean, in a nutshell, what I wanted to know is that these lot of terms like risk management, governance, I mean,
I'll come.
what
I'll
you're
come. We
doing
have
as
a
a role,
chapter. We
these
have a
all are
chapter
very,
for that.
I mean, I hope you are able to empathize what I'm trying to say.
I'll able to
There's a
be with
very
you,
thin
but
line
this is
between
only a
all
first
these
class.
terms are very intermingled. The roles are not very defined. The job
Rules.
is
See,
not
that
defined.
is a part
So
of a governance. They have to define it in a very crystal. And see, sometimes I cannot say that board is responsible for that. See, in yourself as a business, that you are the part of a business when you are generating revenues. And every time board is poking, every time auditor, first line of defense auditors, I mean, IC team is poking, hey, give me evidence, and you are not able to focus on the process. I mean, business revenue. You will get frustrated, na? I mean, you will get frustrated and hey, when I do business, every time they ask me to report to them board by board, every time IC team will come up. So actually, it take actually initially whenever new process is implemented, any process, be it audit process, be it technology, be it anything, there is some time which takes to mature that process. Initially nothing is mature, everything is a pre-cycle. There is a cycle basically. Gradually, when there is a complete processes are defined, team will hire, team skills set increase, business owners are aware about the situations, about other risks. They're able to perform that. It will take 5 to 10 years time the line. It's not easy that we can initially in 1 year or 2 years you can say to the board, hey, why it is not working. Not possible. Even that is something which regulators also understand, because it is not possible to have everything at a creamy layer at a first year itself. It will take some timeline to mature the processes, which might be differ from 5 years to 10 years. Because these are the companies are corporate houses. Just take an example of HSBC, Fidelity, American Express, Barclays, Goldman Sachs. I'm taking very simple, familiar examples here. They are earning $1 trillion. I will say that everything, if I come up with some new improvement, even in a control, why you are not implementing? It's not possible for them. It takes some time to mature the process. See, it's a very strategic decisions, I can say. It will take time, but gradually the things will be on a place. That's why in India, banking system are still working on that, because they have a lot of situations, different situations, basis the geographies, basis the expertise, basis, I mean, lot of factors. So it will gradually improve. I mean, your question is right. You might see some confusion in the roles and responsibility, but gradually it will go okay. But from your exam perspective, always think that this is a process. But yeah, I define each and every aspect how we can do it. But again, I go a bit very far this today, but this module is entire on your foundations. Only
Just
on the
last
foundation.
question, Nikhil, for me, from me. The executive board and supervisory board. Uh, Executive board is basically your senior management, right?
Define it and I'll tell you.
Okay. Okay.
Say, executive board. What's your and
And the supervisory board.
supervisory
So
board.
our CAE, regarding the charter, so he has to get the approval on the charter from executive board as well as from the supervisory board, considering
Only to
the
the board. Only to the board.
okay.
And board
Okay.
always consider audit committee first. If there is no
Okay.
audit committee, they are defining structure that who will approve it. Now, you're asking that whom he will take the decision. Sometimes, see, for every company, listed company, there is a mandate that everyone has to uh, have their audit committee is in place, which consists of director and chaired by independent directors. So in the board itself, there's a two tier things. Means one you have divided into executive board, and other one you have divided into supervisory board. Now, when you divide it into two things, the purpose here is the separation is to ensure your strong oversight of governance, governance thing, management related decisions, and if there is any conflict of interest, the purpose here is to have the separation. Now, when it comes to executive board, which is also known as management board, means which typically members again, they are typical members CEO, CFO, COO, which I give you, CTOs, means Chief Technology Officer. These are the people who are part of your executive board, but they are not the executive. I mean, they are not the board of director, but they are the management board. We call it as an
Okay.
executive because generally what we are called, hey, these are part of executive team. They are the part of executive because they are the highest rank officer, but ultimately they are the people who are responsible for management functions. Board will not do the management functions.
Okay.
Board will always and always do the strategic roles and the governance. So this is the difference. When it comes to supervisory, supervisory is responsible for oversight, for governance, for monitoring. When supervisory is doing that, obviously your executive will not do that. Executive will perform basis the decision taken by supervisory. So it's just a naming conventions, just a naming conventions, nothing else.
I have one question. I don't know if it will be appropriate to ask you. Uh, I'm not sure what is this exam tracker on the dashboard. Like what date should we put in the exam tracker?
Exam tracker. I'm not like, sure about it. Let's connect with for the admin thing for my team. I mean, they will definitely help you out.
Sure, sir. But
Okay,
what
they
is
will
our
help you out.
plan? What is our plan for this part one? Like
Plan.
how?
I believe everybody that share with you will probably have 19 classes. It might be more because as I see the interaction level today, I believe 19 classes is not going to be enough. But I try my level best. Initially, we have a 19 classes plan.
Okay.
So is it fair to call that risk management is part of the governance?
Risk management is a part of governance. How?
No, I'm asking actually.
Risk management is something where personality is responsible for that. Right now, risk management is not something which is only at an entity level. It is also at a functional level itself. Means, hello, I'm audible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here trying to say here is in risk management, you are also looking at your functionals. Functions means revenue, payrolls, and other functions. So every revenue, there are some executive members. For payroll, there is executive members. Means there is a individual hierarchy as well, right? As you might see in your organizations, every processes have their own risk. So you have to perform the process-wise risk assessments as well. Sometimes when I come on the risk management that I'll define you the risk appetite as well. There are risk appetite which is applicable to individual functional department, but when you combine everything, that becomes that aggregation becomes a risk which is at your entity level. So it is there. It is a part of facility itself. That's what I can tell you as of now. Don't go far because people start overwhelming on this. But yeah, this has our own set of requirements or own set of questions. I mean, on thing risk management. I believe is a 6 or 7 chapter we have. Before that, there are a lot of things I have to focus on. But yeah, it is a part of it. You can further timing understand this is a part of it. I will give you the distinction later on as well. A slight distinction. Distinction is nothing. Again, similar, the distinction is between board, like executive member, executive board is the supervisory board. The only difference is like that. Obviously, board will not perform the risk management thing, or the CTOs will, or the CEO will not perform by themselves. Also, the sub team will be responsible to identify that. So obviously, in their sub team, they might handle 5 odd teams, out of which one is handling the risk management, one is handling the RCSA, one is handling the audit queries, one is handling for actually operating the controls. There might be many things. I mean, in the subline itself. Okay, guys. Yeah. We'll meet on the same time tomorrow. I mean, we'll probably start at 11:30. I mean, and tomorrow positively, I'll need Parsha's help as well to create another group tomorrow positively. So don't worry about it. We'll start tomorrow at 11:30 Indian time, just like we did today. You might have 11 a.m., but yeah, if something changed, be in touch with you on the WhatsApp tomorrow onwards. So, but tomorrow we will start with 11:30. No revision for today, but just do my revisions if you can do whatever we discussed. And we'll meet tomorrow positively. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Nikhil.
guys. Thanks for joining.
you.
We'll meet
Thank
tomorrow.
you.